Happy New Year, everyone. It's a brand new year for the channel, for the project. If y'all don't know, this is Wind Waker Unflooded, the 3D modeling fan art project, where I'm bringing to life the land of Hyrule as it could have existed within the world and art style of The Legend of Zelda, the Wind Waker, corresponding the islands of the Great Sea to the unseen mountaintops of Hyrule. And it's been a really rewarding project to work on with the 3D modeling, to work on myself and with all of my collaborators, and I'm really proud of all of the contributions to this project. It's really been a joy over the past really year and a half to bring on a lot of new contributors who are incredibly talented and have offered a lot to this project, and to really work on it as a community. And just with community in mind, what I want to do going into the new year is communicate with y'all, with the fans, with the audience, what's already been made and what hasn't been made yet, just because I really value y'all's suggestions. And, I try to incorporate as much as I can from y'all's suggestions. And there's things that, sometimes I get comments and there's things that just don't quite align with what's already been made, or, there are things that sometimes, I struggle to work through. But I really do value y'all's suggestions, and I want to let y'all know what's already been made in this project, what hasn't been made yet, just so y'all know, and are on, those that are keeping up with the project, because that's something that I try to do zoom outs at the beginning and ends of each video. But I do totally understand that, this is a big project, and if y'all haven't been keeping up the whole time, I know, I get a lot of new viewers, and I totally get that this is a big project, and it's a lot to keep track of. Lord knows I know that. And so I just want to take the time to go through the entire map and just kind of go quadrant by quadrant and let y'all know what has already been made for this project. And I'm going to try not to ramble and talk too much about each quadrant, because I think I could get carried away, and I don't need to do that. If y'all want to hear more maybe about each quadrant, look up my channel and look up the videos of me working on each location if you want to hear me talk more about it. Or comment down below, ask a question, and I try to respond to all the comments that I can. And if there's anything you want to hear me talk more about, lore-wise, or what my creative decisions are, I'm happy to respond in a comment. So feel free, just ask. Don't be afraid to ask if you have any questions about this project, or questions about suggestions, or questions about what I've already done. I am happy to talk about it and respond to your comments. But without further ado, let's look at the Wind Waker Unflooded and the progress that we've made so far. It's been a huge project, and it's so rewarding to look at even what's already been made. And I think we're maybe almost, I think I've been saying 65% in my video descriptions now, 65% through with the project. And it's so much more than where we started, because of this all started just with what we saw in game, which was just the area around Hyrule Castle. But now there's a whole map connected to all of the islands of the Great Sea. And so let's go one by one and showcase the work that's been done in each quadrant, starting in the southwest, Horseshoe Isle. Nothing here yet, but I have one of my contributors who is cooking up something for this region, so stay tuned. Then we have Outset Village, just working on a fishing village, expanding from the original Outset Isle location, copy-pasting some buildings, turning this into a mountain. Then we have the Earth Temple, and I really love this redead protruding from the mountainside. I think that's really dramatic, and I definitely want to keep adding these kind of giant monster sculptures throughout the map where I can, because I think that's kind of a really cool visual. I don't have anything in this next quadrant, but in the next one, we have GC Mountain. This is a recreation of some Hyrule Historia concept art, because originally for the Wind Waker, there was going to be this place, I think called GC Isle is what it was labeled as, and it was going to be an island shaped like a GameCube. And so one of the contributors to this project decided to make that location for Wind Waker Unflooded, and so have this mountain that is showcases this little structure here at the top that is, of course, shaped just like a GameCube. And I think that that's a really cool reference. Of course, the Zelda series also continued with Phantom Hourglass and has DS Isle. And so I just love that little touch. Just a reminder that this is a creative project, and you can have kind of silly locations that are based on, the consoles. I think that that's a really cool idea. I don't have anything yet for the quadrant where the boating course is, so comment down below if you have any ideas of what to do with the coast area around the boating isle. I would love y'all's ideas, and I am all ears. But in this next quadrant, we have a version of Koholint Isle, which, to me, in my headcanon, I know that Koholint Isle is a dream, but we have Eventide Isle from Breath of the Wild, and this is kind of in the same location. So to me, this is Eventide Isle, and I see Koholint Isle as being kind of a a dream version of Eventide. So that's kind of how I can defend it existing, quote unquote, for real within the world of the Wind Waker Unflooded. I don't have anything for the quadrant above that, but to the left, we have Kokiri Forest, the Lost Woods, which manifests as a maze, and of course the Kokiri Forest is connected to the Forest Haven and the Forbidden Woods as these different Deku trees. Next to it, we have the Forest Temple from Ocarina of Time, and next to that, we have the Sealed Grounds from Skyward Sword, which is connected to its version of Faron Woods with the giant tree as well. In the quadrant to the west of that, we have Ice Ring Isle, which has been turned into a mountain with a hidden mansion kind of that is a reference to Snow Peak in a way. Of course, geographically, it's a different part of the world than Snow Peak, but it's still a reference to that. To the west of that, we have an in-progress version of Orden Village from Twilight Princess, and I'm very excited to keep working on that. To the west of that, we have some geometry around this, I think it's Dracuzo River from Breath of the Wild, and, I kind of reinterpreted things, and I like this kind of winding railway path that kind of goes through the river, and it was fun to kind of work on that. This is the area around Shark Isle, I think. And to the west of that, we have Lake Hylia. I really loved using assets from the Hyrule Castle Bridge and just being able to create Lake Hylia, and make it like a real tall cliffside here, right? And have it be really dramatic. I wanted it to, remind me of how I felt playing Twilight Princess, getting tongue twisted, Twilight Princess for the first time. And just seeing this giant dramatic cliffside and this bridge that was so tall over the lake, right? It was such a long drop down, and just how that made me feel. Next to that, we have the Great Plateau. This is still in progress terrain-wise, but I'm using some assets from the Tower of the Gods to create this wall, and I'm really proud of how that looks so far, and it's been fun to work on. And just, bring locations from other games to life. North of that, we have the Desert Colossus around the Spirit Temple from Ocarina of Time. Next to, I think this is the Needle Rock Isle, which has been turned into a mountain here. And in front of that is also the 7 Gerudo Heroines from Breath of the Wild, and the South Lomé Labyrinth just to the east of that, also from Breath of the Wild. Next to that, we have the River Hylia, and I really love the way this riverbank looks. Above it, we have the City in the Sky from Twilight Princess, and that is, of course, connected to the Wind Waker's Islet of Steel. Next to that, we have Stonewatcher Isle, and in front of that is a Colosseum, which is kind of inspired by the one from Breath of the Wild. To the east of that, we have the Triangle Isle, which is, of course, on the banks of the general Hyrule Castle Lake. To the east of that, we have a Royal University next to Hateno Village, and that was a really fun location to work on, and I currently have a contributor who is remodeling some of the buildings for Hateno Village. Maybe by the time this video goes up, they've already finished it, but I'm really excited to replace some of my old work with new work, and that's a theme as we go east again and look at my rough version of Akala Citadel. I'm going to remodel this, but this is a rough idea, and I'm excited to rework that in the future. Next to that, we have a totally new location, a new Hylian village that I just wanted to kind of add some new settlements to the map. It has its own town square and its own lake, and it's bordered by a river and some new buildings. I just wanted to create a new location. To the east of that, we have, I think, the Bird's Peak Rock, and I still don't have anything here. So comment down below what you think could work for the Bird's Peak Rock. North of that, we have another kind of coastline area, and we have a kind of a soul isolated little house here on the coastline. And I have my own story ideas for that location that I think I talk about in the video where I make it. So scroll down through my channel, and I think I call it a new shadow temple. And so if you're interested in some of the story there, I think I talk about it in that modeling video. Go west of that, and we have a version of the new Kakariko village from Breath of the Wild, of course using Outset Island assets, but I mean, you could do a lot with kit bashing, and that's definitely one of my core tenets for this project, is try to use what I can from the original Wind Waker models where I can and kit bash from that, and create new stuff where I have to as well. It's a mix of both. And to the west of that, we have Hyrule Castle Town, which has a lot going on. And this is one of my favorite quadrants of the map so far. There's so much packed into this little town already, and there's only more to come. In this quadrant, we have the Temple of Time. Next to that, we have a little gazebo where I think the sages would meet. Here, kind of in the on the riverbank, we also have this kind of Shakespearean style, like globe style theater. It's a little different from the globe because the stage is in the middle, but I really love this kind of style of building. In the town itself, we have a town square with market stalls, we have a park, we have a Roman style bath, communal bath, pool, a community pool. And we also have this museum featuring a bunch of artifacts from the Legend of Zelda series and tapestries inspired by the artwork from the Wind Waker's prologue. It was really fun to get some artists on board for that and creating these tapestries, and I'm really proud of how they turned out, showcasing all of these different events from across the Legend of Zelda series. Thank you all for being a part of that, and it's really cool to be able to showcase them here. We also have an opera house in Hyrule Castle Town, and I love the interior of this. And it's, of course, pulling from assets from the auction house. But like I said, you kit bash. You pull from assets in-game, and you can use that to create something new. And I really love this opera house, and I rarely do interiors. This is one of the few interiors that exists for this project. A quadrant west of that, we have a castle lookout fort, inspired by Lookout Landing, but it's, of course, a new location. West of that, we have Lon Lon Ranch, and I really love it here on the banks of the river. And of course, using the models from Ocarina of Time as a starting point, but I love seeing it within the world of the Wind Waker. West of that, we have the restored Great Fish Village. It was really cool to see this get made, and this is the thing that I know that so many of y'all were excited about, seeing Great Fish get restored. And if you want to hear me talk more about it, look up the modeling video where I showcase the restored Great Fish Isle for the first time. But yeah, this is an island that we only ever saw destroyed by Ganon's powers and during the events of the Wind Waker. And so seeing it turned into a new settlement, that's been really cool just to see that. West of that, we have a little bit of the Gerudo Desert, featuring the Lanayru mining facility ruins from Skyward Sword, the Arbiter's grounds from Twilight Princess to the north, and east of that, we have some more ancient ruins. And if you want to hear me talk about that, I've talked about that before on the channel as well, in my video doing the modeling around the Rockspire Isle, I think is what this is called. West of that, I want to start working on Tingle Land, and I haven't really gotten started, but comment down below any ideas you have for an amusement park based on, something that the Tingle family would create. West of that, we have the train tracks that we see. There will be a train in this version of Hyrule around the Triangle Isle. West of that, we have a little farmhouse up on a mountain overlooking Hyrule Castle Town. It's also adjacent to Ganon's Tower's little mini desert here in the center of the map, which we can see in that quadrant also showcases, that's the word I was looking for, showcases a adaptation of the Eastern Palace, which you may remember from A Link to the Past. Excuse me, I'm tripping over my words, but there's so much to cover, and I'm trying to get through it quickly, or else this video is going to be half an hour, and I want to get you, done in under 20 minutes. We also have a version of Stovepipe Isle, which you may remember from the Hyrule Historia concept art. That was really fun to bring to life. We also have, adjacent to this little mini desert, we have a cave that leads down to what I call Moblin Town. I really wanted to add this monster settlement, and of course it references kind of Ganon's lair from the Zelda cartoon, even showcasing a version of the evil jar itself. And so I love this idea that the monsters would live underground, and I wanted to build out that hidden base. And so let's keep going east, and this is where Labrina will be. There's just a couple other little things here that were necessitated by the geography, which is the Starbelt Archipelago, I think is what this island is called in the game. And there was a sea platform here, which I wanted to make sense as being on top of a mountain. And so that all makes sense geographically. There's also the Rist Peninsula from Breath of the Wild. And to the north of that is the, what do you call this? The Lomé Labyrinth from Breath of the Wild. That's also represented here within the world of Wind Waker Unflooded, next to a version of the Zora's Domain. And west of that, we have Death Mountain featuring Goron City, and of course, Dragon Roost Isle. My headcanon is that's Death Mountain, and you can fight me on that. West of that is the Bridge of Eldin, which of course crosses past the, what is that called? Not Choo Choo Isle. What's it called? Paw Print Isle, excuse me. Of course, Paw Print Isle. Who could forget? And it was really fun to work on this unique mountainside, which, of course, you pass this river, and you have Kakariko Village, which is underneath Windfall Isle. And there's a lot left that I want to do here and expand the village, I think, around the mountain. I kind of want to have some settlements kind of at the base of the mountain, too, in the plains around it, and comment down below if there's any kind of unique structures that you would like to see around that village. We keep going west, and we see more of the train tracks by the Spectacle Rock. We pass that to the west, and we have the Mother and Child Isles, and we can see these ancient ruins underneath that. I think I've already pointed those out. To the west, we have Gerudo Town, inspired by the design of it from Breath of the Wild. To the north of that, we have the Thieves' Fortress from Ocarina of Time, which, in my headcanon, is connected to the Forsaken Fortress, which we see represented in this map. To the east of that, we have Star Isle, which I haven't done much with. Same with the Fairy Isle that's next to that. There's a star there, but there's a lot left to do. Next to that, we have the Wind Temple entrance, and I've worked a little bit on the entrance of that would be below the ocean, and it was fun to work on that mountain, but there's a lot left to do. We also have the Tower of Winds, which is, of course, inspired by a location from, I think, the Four Swords Adventures. That was fun to bring to life. To the east of that, we have the Crescent Moon Island, I think it's called. To the east of that, we have, is this Seven Star Isle, I think it's called, also representing the King's Tomb location from Zelda 2. And then to the east of that, to finish up our breakdown of what's been added to the map, there will be Holodrum in this version of Hyrule here on the border, as well as we already have the Island Palace from Zelda 2. That was really cool to see get added to the map. Yeah, I mean, I've been so overjoyed to see all these contributors that have added different locations to the map. And it really excites me to continue to see different people work on the project and to be able to work on it myself and just continue to create and add from my own perspective, because this is a unique version of Hyrule. This is, timeline-wise, this is Hyrule as it would have existed before the Great Flood. And it's really cool to me, just as a world-building idea, to show through the environmental storytelling, why did Hyrule fall? And there's so many things that I'm attuned to that I want to build into the modeling of this map. I want to think about, how did Ganon return? Why were things so disastrous that flooding was inevitable, right? And there's so many little things that I want to build into the map that showcase how that, this war that led to Hyrule's destruction. But I'm really excited to continue work on it. So yeah, I mean, this is, I was speedrunning there, and I apologize if I was tripping over my tongue a little bit, but I did want to speed through the progress on this map and just show off what's already been done on this project. And yeah, I mean, just thank you all so much for continuing to watch these videos and comment. And it means so much that y'all have paid attention and been attentive and shared y'all's passion with me. So just without further ado, I don't want to waste time yapping. Just thank you so much for watching. And without further ado, I'll let you go.
Now, if you're looking for other ways to support me, as always, you can support me as a creator by becoming a member on Patreon. There you'll get access to all kinds of exclusive behind-the-scenes content like in-progress outlines, scripts, storyboards, rough cuts, and even soundtracks for my newest films. By becoming a member, you'll also be thanked in the credits for any film I finish during your membership. You can also support me by streaming my music. I compose all of the scores for my own short films, and you can listen to those soundtracks on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you listen to music. Just look up Joe Kendrick. That's JoeKendrick. Y'all have a wonderful day, and without further ado, I'll let you go.